Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster doing part 2 of What If Asta Had an Adolla Burst. Now, when we last left off, Asta was just going through the portal to go to the Black Bulls. Now, before we start where Asta will be meeting the Black Bulls, hit it. Now then, when Asta and them get to the Black Bull's hideout, he goes over and opens his door, only to be seeing a bunch of crazy people yelling. A drunk woman, a weird guy just blowing smoke out of his mouth, a small girl, child person stuffing her face with crap ton of food, and a guy using fire magic to shoot fireballs at a young guy who seems to be using lightning magic for boots to evade him. Which is when one of the fireballs goes for him, but this time he stops the fireball and extinguishes it, which is when Yami just practically breaks down the wall, telling them all to shut up. After everyone calms down, Asta is introduced to the Black Bulls and vice versa. Then Magna gets up into his face about his baptism and that he'll be conducting it. But before he could, Yami told him that that's not going to work with him. Yami's like, "What do you mean, Captain?" Yami then starts to explain that Asta's fire magic, or whatever it is, seems to be capable of being used in a way that he can smother out other people's flames or increase them. So Magna's pretty much helpless against that. And then he tells Luck to hurry up and fight this kid. Luck's all excited, and instead of the exercise, they just go straight head on into the fighting. Luck hurries and starts with getting his lightning boots and gauntlets on, rapidly firing lightning at him. Asta evades, while pulling out the Demon Slayer sword, using... If you remember part 1, then you know that due to the fact of what's inside of his grimoire that comes from the Netherworld, the anti-magic demon, it gives him a slight adolla link, at least for now, to produce plasma, basically blue flames. He creates some blue plasma balls and starts firing them at Luck, which surprises the Black Bulls, Magna especially, when he yells out, "Hang on, I thought you said he had flame magic." Then Yami just looks at him and tells him he does, but it seems as though he can get his flames to a hot enough point to where they turn blue. Only other person I've seen able to do that is Flagoleon, as he just smirked, thinking he got a good one. Obviously, Luck was able to evade, but it did cause some explosions in the forest nearby that they'll have to deal with. Then Luck hurries and makes a giant electrical orb to launch straight at Asta. Asta gets ready and on instinct slams it with the basically the side of the sword, sending it right back to Luck. There was a big explosion, but Luck came out of it. He disabled the spell before it got to him, But he was so excited and pumped, asking Asta to go for another round. But Yami stopped that. As everyone congratulates him, he gets his robe. And from up on the Black Bull's hideout, we see a silvered haired girl just looking at Asta and them. After that, Asta gets shown to where he'll be sleeping and heads off to bed. Once he wakes up, he's met with a pillar in front of his door. Magna gives him the fact that the hideout shifts around constantly, which also finds kind of weird but cool at the same time. But Magna then asks the obvious question, what's up with his eyes? Asa just looks at him weird, going, huh? Magna gets a little aggravated and said, don't harm me. What the hell is up with those eyes? Asa just scratches his head and says, I don't know. I just always had my eyes like this. Well, yeah, okay, but why is there no pupil in your eyes? There's just some weird white ring in one of them, and the other one just has this white X. Jeez. And I remember seeing them glow when you fought Luck last night. Also just shrugs his shoulders, saying, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just how I've always been. Magna just lets it go for now and tells him to come on as he hurries and gives him the tour. Like in canon, he does still meet Noelle uh, and a similar interaction with her does still happen, where she ends up firing magic that meant for Asta but goes to Magna, and she says she's quitting the Black Bulls, leaving her robe. After that, Asta gets to work on his chores and everything, and when he's all done, he goes walk around where he sees Noelle. Noelle ends up noticing him, and like in canon, she freaks out with her magic going crazy. So this time, he kicks off his sandals, grabs them, and starts flying with the flames coming out of his feet. All the Black Bulls are just looking at that thing, wondering how to fix this. Then Asta comes flying in as Yami yells at him and asks if he can do something about that. Asta thinks and says, yeah, I could probably do something. He pulls out his grimoire, taking out the Demon Slayer sword, using his flaming feet to go straight towards it, slicing it easily, freeing Noelle. As she falls, Asta follows suit, putting away the sword and catching her, which then he gently goes down and just lands. Noelle was expecting to get scolded or mocked or whatever, but is unlike what her family did. Asta remarked about how amazing she was and how powerful she is. And, the Black Bulls state everything like in canon, with Vanessa saying that she can teach her on tricks to help her control her magic, with Magna stating that she belongs in the Black Bulls. Getting her robe back, she smirks and such. After that day, some time passes, and unlike in canon, Asta's able to feed the beast a little bit better under threat of scorching them. They don't sense any magic or whatever, but still. Which then they're met with Yami and Magna coming in au naturel, saying that they got a mission. As for anything before that, still goes on like in canon. So they tell him about the mission they have eliminating boars in Sashi Village. Asta's okay with that, but Noelle isn't happy. Even more so when she finds out that she has to ride on Magna's crazy cyclone. Asta just kicks off his sandals, saying that he has his own ride. Magna looks at him, stating, "Oh yeah, that stuff, yeah, that stuff you do with your feet is pretty awesome. How exactly do you do that?" Asta just remarks that he just shoots fire out of his feet so that he can fly. He just adjusts his toes to help with direction. He can also go a lot faster than what they've seen him do. Magnus smirks, saying, "Oh yeah? Well, I bet I can get the Sashi village to hunt down those boars faster than you." Asta smirks at him, saying, "You're on," with Noelle just regretting that she can't use her magic and has to ride on what she calls the ugliest thing she's ever seen, Magna's crazy cyclone. Once Magna gets liftoff, Asta just waves at him, saying, "I'll give you a head start." With Magna yelling, "Oh, you're gonna regret that," as he full on throttles his crazy cyclone to go as fast as he could. After about a minute, Asta says, "Okay, that should be enough," as he fires it up using the Tiger Crusher palm position that you've seen in Fire Force if you haven't. Basically, index finger to the base of the thumb, and thumb to the base of the pinky. And full on jet right past them. With Magna looking at this saying, "What the hell? How is he this fast? Oh, I am not going to lose." Obviously, Asta gets there, and Magna's just freaking exhausted, burning up all that magic so quickly. So he just starts to rest. Noelle's not happy that she got caught up in their little race, though is wondering how Asta isn't exhausted from using his so-called quote-unquote magic from going that fast. But while they're hunting the boars, it's basically just Asta using his sword covered in plasma, slashing clean through the boars. Not just cutting them, but cauterizing the wound, basically searing it shut. Noelle asked, "Okay, what exactly is with your magic? It is not normal. You could fly just by shooting flames out of your feet, and you can make blue flames with when you have that sword." So just looked at her and said, "It's exactly just how you said it is. I can produce flames and control them, not just my own, but others too." She remembers seeing that during the entrance exam against that noble. So she's just gonna let it be for now. Though they do finish up and start heading back to the village. At this point, Asta feels a vibration, and he can tell that something's wrong. He puts the board down and tells them to meet him at the village, where he hurries up and straight up jet right to Sachi village. Though Magna and the well grab onto his hip, yelling, "What is going on? You said something's up with the village?" Asta just says, "Yeah, I don't know how I know, but I know something's wrong." As Magna takes a look and starts to see that there's some fog on the opposite side of the village starting to form. And he can see a little bit of magic being thrown around. One being the magic of the old geezer, hence the chief of Sashi village, that it's his magic. Pointing that out, Asta uses the tiger palm to blitz them straight towards there. As the chief was about to is getting weaker and weaker from using his magic against enemies that are much more powerful, before they could send off the final blow into his chest. As it flies towards him, Asta full on bursts it by firing, just blasting fire at it. Landing in between them, though the fog is encasing the village at this point, the fighting begins. Magna tells the chief to sit back and relax and that they'll take care of this. He nods, saying, "Thanks, got here just in time." Sorry if you heard that. Okay, so now Magna, Asta, and the Well are facing off against the mages that are here to attack for the jewel in the Sashi village. So things go pretty similar. They start attacking and such with a giant ice spear, but Asa cuts that in half, destroying it. Then, when they start to create more ice, Magna charges up his fire, but Asta lifts up his hand towards Magna, and all of a sudden, Magna's fireball just bursts into a giant one. Magna doesn't know. Magna's yelling out, "What the hell?" As Asta just smirks, saying, "Remember what Yami said? I can increase people's fire magic power or weaken it. I'm just giving yours a bit of a boost." As he just smirks and goes and throws it, destroying all of the icicles that are coming at them. Asta uses this and the steam that rises up from the fire colliding with the ice to blitz towards them with his fire feet, sword in hand. He goes and slashes the leader, but turns out to be a clone. When he goes to attack him with an ice spike coming from the ground, Asta is able to use the flames on his hand to full on melt it to where it doesn't pierce him at all, though he still gets a little push back from the force. As he's fighting off the mages that are attacking, using his flames to defend as well as evade the best he could, Magna hurries and charges up a fireball to scatter shot them. Some of them do miss and go around them and Asta, but Asta uses his flame control. Instead of ricocheting the attack back, he controls Magna's flame to hit them in their blind spots. One still does get away, while the others are restrained by flame magic. After that, everyone gets together to fix up the mess that was made by those attacking, while Asta, Yuno, and Noel are there just talking to the bad guys, telling them that they're going to get them to the capital to be interrogated. Though, obviously, the clock guy with the pocket watch tells them that they won't be getting anything out of them in full-on suicide pacts, all three of them with a magic item inside of his body. Which they're not really thrilled about. So they just they meet with the chief, who thanks them for their duty, not only for taking care of the boars, but for helping save the village. Which is when Nero flies in and starts pecking Asta in the head repeatedly with the chief's magic stone. The chief's grandson notices that that's his grandpa's good luck charm. So, but the chief just laughs it off, telling them that they can take that magic stone as payment for saving their village if they want. Asa just looks at him saying, "Are you sure about that?" The chief smirks, saying, "Yeah, I'm sure. It's not a real big problem anyways." So they go ahead and take the magic stone. After that, they give the report to Yami, who then tells them that they earned a star. They're pumped about that, well, until they find out that they're so far into the red in negative stars, which is just kind of depressing. So, and they also get their pay, which Vanessa then tells them that they should probably head to the black market. At which they Vanessa does lead them into the capital and into an alley where an illusion magic is hiding the entrance to the black market. While they're there, Noelle does still get her wand, and Asta, he found something interesting. It was a strong stick with fabric, with multiple like little strands of fabric on it. When he asked what this was, the man there said that it was a special celebratory item that's used for all kinds of festivals. People with flame magic would put their mana into it, and fire would envelop the cloth and be used as a means of showing off some type of, more or less, it's more like a, I think the equivalent would be fire dancing, like from Hawaii, but different. It looked a lot like the ones Benimaru uses in order to fly. Asta asks him some questions, and it turns out that it's mainly the stick that ends up absorbing the magic to do this. The cloth, however, is completely fireproof. Asta ends up buying it, which is when they end up running into the haha guy, Seke, who is jealous of Asta being in the Magic Knight squad with Noelle and Vanessa. So there is that. Afterwards, the old woman who just cheats Seke out of his money runs off on a cloud. Seke Asta instantly uses what he just bought, setting the cloth ablaze that won't actually burn and controlling the flames, instantly flying. Just standing up on it flying, similar to how people like Ghost and Yuno do in Black Clover. Just jetting right towards him. As he tries to get away from him, he sees it's not going anywhere. Asta pulls out his Demon Slayer sword and instantly throws it directly at them, destroying the cloud, causing him to fall, and which is followed by getting gut slammed by the end of the stick Asta's riding on. As Asta ends up falling down to the ground, saying, "I gotta work on landings." After that, the same thing with Seke, who runs him over the thief, who then stabs Seke in the foot. He thinks he's getting poisoned and killed, but is then told by Vanessa it's nothing really. He takes the thief and just rides off. Which that while Asta is giving back the old lady her stolen money. After they start to leave, we see the old woman start turning into Julius the Wizard King, who then describes Asta having some type of flame magic without actually having any magical present, as well as anti-magic that easily destroys spells. Wondering what exactly he is. Until he gets a call from his subordinate telling him he needs to get back to work. After that, some time passes, and Asta does get pretty good at using his new flame broom, I guess we could call it. Basically, that's how he's using it. And we get to the point to where they're called, where the Black Bulls are notified that they're going on a mission directly requested from the Wizard King to go take care of a dungeon on the border between the Clover Kingdom and the Diamond Kingdom. They're excited and they go through a portal to it. Asta has his new broom thing, thinking it might be useful. They're in open spaces, along with Noelle and Luck, like in canon. So they go into the dungeon and enter it like normal, where Luck obviously starts activating some traps and everything, which Asta is then having to destroy them one by one as Luck is like just activating them. Which is when Luck suddenly picks up on the feeling of mana coming from in the dungeon. So he just ditches Noelle and Asta to go fight, obviously. So they're on their own. Noelle still gets captured in the plant trap, but Asta uses his fire to burn away the vines that grabbed Noelle, catching her and stabbing the plant thing. Which is when we meet Yuno and his two new comrades in his squad, Mimosa and Klaus, who is complaining about them being in the labyrinth, but they start stating that they were asked to come here by the Wizard King and how they got a first star on their first assignment. Obviously, the same bickering between Asta and Klaus still happens in canon and all that. As Asta and Noelle are going through the labyrinth trying to get there, Asta feels that same vibration that happened near Sashi Village. And he could tell it was Luck. He was in trouble. While the same thing happens for the Golden Dawn, and the other Golden Dawn members, as in canon. Asta pulls out his flame broom, telling Noelle to hop on. So she does, and they just jet towards where the place. Nero was about to point them out, but was a bit late. So Nero was just hurrying up, flapping towards them to catch up. When they get there, Asta sees what's going on and instantly slashes him free from the smoke magic, from the smoke binding magic, basically. He still gives him the same speech as in canon about he can trust them and rely on them. Obviously, the smoke maid still makes that whole dome thing to hide him as well as weaken his enemies. So they come up with a plan. Same plan as in canon, but instead of Noelle blasting him towards, Noelle blasting Asta towards him, he uses the flame broom to jet towards him, which works out with the same result as in canon. And the smoke guy still gets away with his men. Before they start chasing, Asta feels the same vibration again, telling them that we don't have time for this. Something's going on down in the lower levels. So they just hurry up and get there, where Asta destroys the blade that's about to come down on Yuno from Mars, flying and landing nearby, relieved that he's finally able to land properly. Yuno states that he had him right where he wanted him, as Asta says, "Oh yeah, you want to bet on that?" So they argue, and Klaus is just can't understand what's going on and how this commoner could do that when three members of the Golden Dawn were getting their asses handed to them by a single guy. Then he's saved by luck from one of Mars's clones, and he gets even more frustrated. After that, the fight begins between Mars and Asta, where he uses the flame broom to dodge his attacks while flying around, attacking him as much as possible, sending out plasma balls to strike him. It does cause some burn damage, but not as much when you consider his mineral magic armor, until he full on strikes him into the water with his sword. After that, Asta lands, which then he's met by the mineral magic golem armor and gets striked on both sides. This still tears up his clothes and such, where Klaus is just not, comprehending how ripped Asta is and his power to use flames and anti-magic, which Marge is then hit by the sword again, knocking him out. He gets restrained, and they go off into the treasure vault as Asta just slices the door, destroying it. As they're going for the treasure and stuff, he's feeling the vibration again, thinking, "Jeez, what's up with this thing? I don't see anybody we know in trouble. Is something different?" He follows where this feeling is leading him, where he meets to a golden circle thing on the wall. He touches it, and the wall opens up, revealing a second anti-magic sword, the Demon Dweller sword. He grabs hold of it, and he hears something, a laugh, stating, "The second one more left." He looks behind him, but doesn't see anybody. He's not sure what that was, but he's gonna brush it aside for now until they get out of this dungeon. Which is then the well is attacked by the crystal mage and is hurt a bit. He hurries up and goes over, trying to, and ends up defending the well and Mimosa, who are being attacked by Marge by those spinning blades, while the others are just locked in crystal magic. He attacks rapidly, one after the other. Mimosa is trying her best to heal Noel, and as he's swinging these swords, he hears the voice again. "Do it. Use the new sword." Doesn't know where this voice is coming from, and it only seems to fade in and out sometimes. He grips his new Demon Dweller sword, and the same blue covering that goes on to the Demon Dweller sword is now on the Slayer sword is now on the Demon Dweller sword. Sorry if I messed up the wording, but and then as he goes for a slash, it produces a plasma flame slash that cuts off one of the golem arms. He then hears Noel tell him, "You got this. You're the only commoner I've ever acknowledged." As her magic is inside the sword again, and he swings it again, but instead of plasma, it's a water slash that strikes Mars. As he's relieved, Asta was able to take out one of the golem arms, stopping his barrage so he doesn't get stabbed in this one. But then, as he puts the swords away to go check on the well, Mars is coming at him again with a giant mineral sword. With still accidentally activating the spirit magic to attack and destroy the sword. Mars is out cold, and the place is starting to crumble around them. So they hurry up on top of the magic wind arc thing and get out of there. While Klaus, Luck, and this time Asta are firing over and over again to blast the rubble in their way, and Luck guiding them to get out of the dungeon before it collapses on them. As they hurry up and get out of there, they're relieved, the well is healed up, and the diamond mages are out of there as well, with Klaus hugging and Asta saying that he was wrong to judge them for being commoners, that they are fine magic knights. With Noelle yelling at Asta saying that he should do something about his clothing, with Asta pointing out that his clothing isn't the only thing that got torn up, as he just blushes and full on jumps, kneeling on to his stomach, passing out from exhaustion slash just taking a beating and just exhausted. So to recap, still has the same thing as in canon. Asta can now send plasma slashes as a ranged attack at his enemies and such. And it seems like someone is starting to use the adolla link to communicate with Asta a little bit more. So this was part 2 of What If Asta Had a Adolla first. Hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also remember to hit that bell and set it to all so that you're get a update on when I upload my next video. Like I said, hope you enjoyed, and see you guys later.